The story begins with the Ilden Merchant Guild, led by Count Batuk Sergio. The kingdom is divided into 4 regions: east, west, south, and north, with the southern region being the richest in resources. Count Sergio has reached the pinnacle of the economy, dominating the entire southern region, and the eldest daughter of the Sergio family has been chosen as his successor. At this moment, a voice rings out. "You're here? Sit down, Jerez." The person sitting here is Odell Sergio. "You're later than I thought." "You were in Licken last week. I thought you would have been here yesterday," he replied. I stopped by a place on my way here." "So, did you bring any products? Anything worth trading?" He unfolded some sparkling fabrics. "This region is very famous for its weaving techniques. I brought a few samples. Would you like to see them?" She showed no interest, merely replying with a single word. "Fine, I'll look at them later." He stammered in surprise. Odell, you!" "What about me?" No, it's just that this is the first time I've seen you postpone work like this." "Why would you say that?" She thought to herself. "We'll be seeing each other often from now on." "Odell, I think you seem—" She looked at his expression and felt a thrill of excitement. "That's right. This is the reaction you should be having," she mused thoughtfully. "Even though waking up early has become my habit, it's been years since I've looked in the mirror at this hour instead of at a pile of documents. Although I didn't wear extravagant makeup, I still put a lot of effort into this. I've even calculated what my image looks like right now." Just then, she asked again, "What about me? Is there something on my face?" Jerez had been flustered this whole time. No, Jerez. Are you sick? Or are the multiple business trips too much for you?" He gave a forced laugh. "No, not at all." She narrowed her eyes, scrutinizing him. What does he mean? Not at all. His shifty eyes. He's definitely nervous about something. His lips are stiff, and his Adam's apple is bobbing up and down like that. All right. It's time for me to make my move. Even though he looks completely drained, he's still handsome. She spoke up, asking, "Jerez, I heard you went to Satona before coming here?" He was surprised. How did you know? What was your reason for going to Licken? We have plenty of gems here." No, that's just—" Odell wondered to herself. For a top-tier merchant guild, running a jewelry store is a basic affair. Is there any place with more gems than the South? So why would he need to go to a small town famous for its gems? Let's see, besides that, what other reason could there be? Could a new type of raw gemstone have appeared there? Jerez kept stammering. That's... Look at him hesitating. What's there to be embarrassed about? She reassured him. "It's all right, just speak freely. It's not like we've just met." It had already been 9 years since they first met, and 3 years since that incident happened. At this, Jerez finally gathered his courage and spoke. I actually have something to say, but I don't know where to start. I'm not sure how to say this, but I think I should tell you first." Odell blushed, thinking to herself, "That's right. The most important thing is who proposes first. Although I understand Jerez's nervousness, I don't have time for this. Whether it's me giving the green light or just reading the atmosphere, either way, my answer is the same. Let's see, the things Jerez has to do. From confirming new items arriving at the port to preparing sales reports sent by the stores, he probably has to stay up late working. So, proposing a little early would also—" Before she could finish her thought, he spoke. "Odell, are you listening to me?" Yes, I'm listening." But in reality, she hadn't heard a thing, because she was busy thinking about something else. As a true successor, she could preside over a conference in 5 languages no matter the situation. She was confident she could guess what Jerez was about to say. A close friend who had been nurturing a confession for a long time and had visited a distant jewelry store. A person so nervous he didn't dare to look up. The deciding detail was the square-shaped box inside his coat. It couldn't be anything else. A square gift box, inside of which is at least a 3-carat high-grade gemstone. If I can't even realize that much, I might as well give up my position as the heir. Having made her deduction, she nodded. If you're going to be like that, I have no choice. A lot has changed in the past 3 years. Really, Odell? Do you really understand my heart?" She beamed and replied, "Understand? Why say something like that? What kind of relationship do we have?" Hearing that, Jerez smiled brightly. "Thank you for your support. Thanks to you, I feel more courageous now." Jerez isn't thanking me for mentioning the ring, but for supporting him? Saying it like that makes it sound like I'm cheering on a friend who's about to get engaged. Jerez rummaged in his coat pocket, then said with a smile, "I hope she'll like it too, but I wanted you to take a look for me. Your aesthetic sense is excellent, so you'll definitely know her tastes." Odell froze. What? So it really is like that. Jerez presented a ring with a sparkling stone. "Here." Odell deflated, thinking to herself, I never thought there'd be a day I'd see a diamond in front of me and not be able to smile. She immediately picked up her teacup and gulped it down. Still unable to calm down, she turned to stone on the spot. Wow, I must look like a bird right now, right? Her quick mind raced. If this is how it is, the only thing to do is try not to look pathetic. She forced a smile and said, "It looks fine. The lines are very skillful, and it's high quality, too." Jerez was relieved. Phew, that's a relief. I'm sure Noella will like this gift, too. Odell froze when she heard that name. Question mark appeared in her mind. Wait a minute. Even though I wanted to not look pathetic as a human being, I forgot to consider one thing. May I ask, is the Noella you just mentioned? Noella Sergio, my younger sister? Later, Jackie exclaimed, "Why are you just now getting back, my lady? How did it go? What did Master Jerez say? He definitely went to the jewelry store in Satona, right?" Odell walked quickly, muttering non-committally, "Yes, so I heard. I knew it. He should have done this a long time ago. Oh my lady, look at these eyes." Not just in the South, but in the entire empire, there are no eyes as beautiful as these. Of course he wouldn't miss his chance. Odell said irritably, "Jackie, I have a bit of a headache." Of course, my lady must have received a proposal. Any girl would— Odell cut Jackie off. "He told me he likes another woman right in front of my face, so I'm a bit shocked." "So I'm sorry, but could you please leave me alone?" Jackie cried out in indignation. "My lady, what do you mean? Seriously, the woman Jerez likes is Noella? If anyone saw me now, they'd think I was the one who got dumped." Jackie felt like she'd been struck by lightning and raged. "Unbelievable! How could this happen? How dare he confess to another girl in front of my lady? How dare he?" Odell let out a long sigh. "That's what I'm saying. I heard he and my lady have known each other for a long time. It can't be anyone but my lady. It was 3 years ago. He said he could wait. He said he would wait for years." Odell asked, "Were you eavesdropping back then?" Jackie quickly covered her mouth, having misspoken. 3 years ago, Jerez proposed to me. But with the official competition for the successor position ahead, I couldn't accept his feelings. If those feelings are genuine, then propose again in 3 years. If we both feel the same way, then I will consider it seriously. That's what I said, but even so, I never expected him to fall for my little sister. Should I call Noella here right now? Jackie turned away. No wonder she kept asking me all day when the eldest lady would arrive. You won't let this go, will you? I'll go get her right now. But what are you doing now, my lady? It's fine to be angry, but if possible, I'll stay quiet. I have to process this quickly and give it to him in the morning. My lady, aren't you angry? Are you just going to sit there like this? If I don't do this now, 32 business departments won't be able to open on time tomorrow. If that happens, it will be chaos, and hundreds of employees, including their families, meaning about 1,000 people, will suffer, right? Oh, honestly. Besides, if it's Noella, she'll find her way here on her own. Right on cue, her sister appeared. A knock-knock was heard at the door. From inside, Odell said, "Come in." She peeked her head in and asked, "Sister, may I come in?" "Of course." "Sister, I'm so sorry. Are you very angry with me?" Odell asked without turning around. "Why?" "I really didn't know he felt that way about me. I couldn't have known even in my dreams. It's all my fault. As long as you're okay." Odell glanced over. "I'm fine. You can leave now." She waved a document in her hand. "I still have some work to do." Her sister started to say something more, but Odell cut her off flatly. "All right, we can talk tomorrow. That is, if you can wake up before I go out in the morning. Jackie, take Noella back to her room or she might faint." "Come on, let's go." Her sister hesitated. "But—" After that, only a faint call could be heard. "But sister, I was just—" Only after hearing the door close did she turn to look. Then she propped herself up on her hands and stood up. "She's definitely gone, right?" As she usually did, she went to the window, threw it open, and screamed about how they had created such a pathetic female lead. Suddenly, outside, the hem of someone's clothing fluttered by. She arched an eyebrow and asked, "How long have you been standing there? Who told you to eavesdrop there?" A young man jumped in through the window. "You were a little late in noticing me." "Eldest sister told me not to use that door as I please." She asked helplessly, "So you came in through the window?" "That's right." She held out her hand in front of him. "This is what you meant, right? You're really something else?" If I wanted to scold him, this kid is excellent at handling his work. I'm afraid someone might not recognize the blood of this family in him. Caden Sergio. This is Count Sergio's only son and my youngest brother. To be specific, my half-brother. But in the year Caden turned 14, when he first set foot in this house, he gradually solidified his position after seeing me. "Hello. You're Odell, right? I don't have a name yet, so when I get one, I'll let you know. But I'll tell you in advance, I hate money and luxury. I know you won't like me in the future, but don't kill me." At that time, the butler was holding a blood-covered child. I didn't know how to turn the child away on our first meeting. In the end, naming the child also became a very important task. It was all because I had given a room to Count Sergio. That's how Caden grew up under my guidance and came to lead the guild that handles top-secret business. The secret work mainly involves dealing with the insects that cling to money, but it can't be said to be a legal method. Just then, she turned around and said, "Anyway, I'll check it later, so you should go too. I'm a little tired today." She suddenly froze when she heard Caden ask, "That guy Jerez has changed his mind, hasn't he?" She turned back and asked, "When did you find out about that?" Caden placed his foot on the windowsill. "Should I kill him?" A deadly killing intent emanated from his eyes. "Answer me. If you want, I'll kill him." Odell realized that when Caden spoke with those eyes, it was definitely not a joke. The last time Caden had that look in his eyes was when he was insulted by one of the other heirs, and that person paid the price with an arm. Even so, there was no evidence to prove it. The only person I could think of was Caden. She said, "Jerez is still useful. It's rare to find an auditor with such high capabilities. And you don't have the right to do that. I never gave you permission. Don't mess things up anymore. Instead, do your job well. I know what to do about my own affairs." "Then why did you pretend not to know about it?" "I have a truly terrible sister." "Caden, what are you talking about? Watch your mouth." "Fine, if that's what you want. Satisfied? There are times when I know things that you don't." With that, he left by jumping out the window. Odell quickly closed the window. With this habit of his, she gave a faint smile. "Haha, I told you so. All kids do is run around, get into fights, and cause trouble." I could criticize Caden's rude words and actions, and if I did, I could get rid of him, but there's only one reason I don't. He's quite something, isn't he? Because Noela, my lovely and pitiful little sister, is a real ticking time bomb. If I had to use one word to describe my past, it would be war. The life of someone born with a dirt spoon in the Republic of Korea. Fortunately, I overcame all difficulties to get into a good university. A good university for a dirt spoon. I had to study to death just to not hear those words. All the achievements and efforts I worked so hard for over many days and months all went to the class president. The golden spoon. I couldn't stand it for another moment. I tried to drown my sorrows in alcohol. "Why are you asking me these things? You should ask your parents who gave birth to you in that house." "Oh, this filthy world." I screamed. "I can do it too, I just want to do it well. Please, if you let me study abroad, I'll only study. I won't get involved with drugs or anything like that. Whether it's marriage or love, I'm confident I can live perfectly fine just with family." "Me too. It's not a fight over food, but a fight over assets. Please, let's strengthen our family ties. Brother, please let me wake up just once." Her shouts echoed in the quiet night, and the people around whispered amongst themselves without comment. Just then, her foot tripped, and the secret words in her heart kept pouring out. Until her body stumbled from the noise outside, her eyes shut tight. "So I prayed to be the daughter of a financial conglomerate. I should have just brushed it off and started a fresh day, even if it was still dirty. I will never open my eyes again, because this is Korea." And so, she gradually sank into the bottomless sea. Then she vaguely heard someone exclaim, "Oh my God, come here and look at this lady's eyes. They're definitely going to be pink." She wondered, "What's that sound? Excuse me, who is that? This isn't a place that draws attention." She raised her tiny hands and waved them around. "Why are my hands moving so freely? Are these my hands?" At that moment, she burst into tears. "Why am I like this? Oh, what the hell is this? I have to go to work tomorrow." Suddenly, a voice rang out. "This must be real." The perfect eyes for business. A man looked at her affectionately. Then he gently stroked her cheek. "Odell, from now on, that is your name." She was bewildered. "What? Why so suddenly?" She glanced over and her eyes stopped on his finger. "Huh, that ring looks familiar. Isn't this ring the same as the one in the novel I read a few days ago? I remember it was described in great detail in the story. I can't be mistaken. Count Sergio's eagle was intricately engraved with 18 feathers sparkling in its diamond eyes." She clenched her hand and started counting, no doubt about it. 1, 2, 3. "Look at our baby. I bet she's already captivated by the ring. Truly my daughter. Is this man my father?" She squeezed her eyes shut. "It seems I've understood a little. When I died, I was reborn in this novel. The richest tycoon in the southern region, the daughter of Count Sergio. I'm the daughter of a Chibol, not just any Chibol, but the richest Chibol in the south, so that's it, a daughter. Why is it like this?" She reached out her tiny hand and grasped the Count's finger. "I will not let go of this hand." And so, time passed. On a beautiful day, a maid's call echoed, my lady, slow down." You have foreign language and swordsmanship classes in the morning, and you can go horseback riding after your jewelry and art appraisal class. She said happily, I'll tell God even if I tell God, no, I won't say it anymore. Such a beautiful figure. The atmosphere of a world I've always dreamed of. She exclaimed in excitement. I love it, it's wonderful. Even with my mother passing away early and my father being away all day, compared to my previous life, this play was still a challenge. These beautiful times seemed to face their first turbulence when I was 11. As I was thinking, footsteps approached. Can I get to know you? I'm Noela. She thought to herself, it's finally here. No matter what, this was bound to happen. The novel Don't Trust the Blonde Girl, Noela Sergio. The first time I opened my eyes and heard Count Sergio's name, it was all thanks to Noela that I was able to quickly grasp the situation. Noela belongs to the Count Sergio family. I am the half-sister of the villainess. Noela belongs to the Sergio family. The author must have given her an angelic name, contrary to mine. The surprising thing is that Noela is the female lead. A beautiful, talented, typical female lead. Even as she tried to shine as a symbol of forgiveness and patience, readers familiar with satisfying plot developments would surely be disappointed, as they were only served frustrating developments. At that time, a reader commented, watching the female lead is so frustrating. Can I see more of the male lead? By the way, how long do I have to endure this frustration? Whether it's Eva or the writer, in this world a woman who looks like that is a bit, I'll watch when it's over. At that time, Noela's friend Chloe appeared. Noela was suffocated by pressure every day. Superior appearance, superior understanding, superior chemistry with the male lead. When the drama was released, Chloe showed her side as a main character. She understood the suffering of the man who succeeded to the throne after defeating the tyrant prince. Many opinions suggested that Chloe was the best commander to fill the comment section. Faced with so much criticism from readers, the writer changed the female lead. In the novel, the female lead is always forgiven. According to Noela's story, being stripped of the female lead role was truly tragic. That confirmed this as the final version of the conspiracy theories. In the end, half of the evil deeds in the Empire belonged to Noela. Noela is my sister. How can I remain calm? Even if I let this child go, even without using all sorts of tricks to cause these troubles. She would still die at the age of 20. She held out her hand. Feel free to call me sister. Let's have fun together as long as we're alive. If that's the case, then I just need to act as usual. I haven't read the final volume, but it's rumored that Noela was sentenced to life imprisonment and died a painful death when her body was burned. Was it really necessary to kill the girl who was once the female lead so cruelly? At 11, she drove away those who disagreed with her like thieves. At 12, she led a bullying group and forced her rival to drop out of school. And even more dramatically, when Caden was young, he almost died several times because of Noela without knowing it. Every time I tried to fix something, things seemed to get worse. The butler cried and knelt, begging and pleading. At this point, I thought it must be a curse for violating the author's will. She sat silently on the bed, closing her eyes and thought, I'm sorry. I didn't think I'd write this much to you. Instead, I'll do everything I can as a sister. Anyway, according to the original story, there was only 1 year left until Noela met her end. At this moment, she lay down on the bed and thought that no matter what happened, there was nothing that couldn't be done. And the thing that helps me is not me, but money. Suddenly, she turned to one side, her mind filled with a jumble of thoughts. But what's wrong with him? Time to develop. Caden shares the same blood, so he's often violent, but with me, he's very withdrawn. The more she thought, the more her head ached with confusion. But one thing was certain. No matter the problem, the top position was mine. Instead of these trivial things, tomorrow's regular party takes priority. Time to sleep. Like a grand feast for the Sergio family, I think all the famous wealthy people in the South are present. For a magnificent party like this, it's certainly not inferior to any noble party. The melodious, resonant music made the party even more luxurious. The people present were buzzing with rumors that the successor would be announced. One of the women among them said, As you know, Lady Odell will be the successor, which is a bit... Before she could finish her sentence, a voice suddenly spoke from behind, startling her. Hello, Viscountess Danya, you came here today too? Just then, she appeared, looking beautiful, smiling brightly and saying, I hope you will enjoy the party comfortably. Hearing that, Danya's face darkened as she replied, The one who supplies the best fabrics anytime, anywhere is very reliable. But in her heart, she thought, just like her fingernails. Outwardly, she feigned cheerfulness. Ha ha, I'm very happy. Just as she was about to say something, Odell had disappeared. At that moment, Jackie, her close maid walking beside her, glanced back with a disdainful look. Not just today. The Viscountess from the fortress has been chasing and cursing at my lady. Odell laughed and said, Really? What about? It's obvious. She's too cold and calculating. If she rises to the top, she'll overshadow the count. Oh, so that's it. Jackie asked, Are you sure about this approach? Why come all the way here to tease her? Odell was currently speaking to a client. Look for the fabrics delivered by her own craftsman tomorrow. One of them is definitely defective. Then she turned and replied, It's never too late to demand responsibility. If I can't find it, then there's no other way. I will step forward. I don't know where you are or what you're talking about. You're not allowed to curse me in my own house, so do it as quickly as possible. She looked towards Viscountess Danya. Touching anyone, not just this time. Ever since selling fabrics exclusively to the monopoly, the self-proclaimed director has been very lax. Suddenly, she turned in another direction and said, Getting my hands dirty in the morning is not a bad thing, but other places will also be worried. Jackie asked, My lady looks very tired. Is something on your mind? Jackie, do I look happy and lovely? I am happy. This kind of fighting spirit is necessary for a chaebol. Odell asked in surprise, No, what? I have longed to live like I do now, where nothing is impossible. Noela, who had just appeared at the party, also commented that it wasn't too bad. Noela looks so pretty. As I was standing alone thinking, someone suddenly asked from behind, I thought you had left, my lady. Huh? Jerez? Are you all right, my lady? The two linked arms affectionately, and Noela replied, I'm fine. Odell thought that among them all, he was the most suitable for an arranged marriage, so I told him to accept my heart. She recalled the scene of Jerez confessing to her. Although he has some excellent points that support his work, it's nothing more, nothing less. 3 years ago, that proposal was just a test. Even during that time, if she doesn't change her mind, I will make her trust me. The moment one flirts with someone else is already a final goodbye. Back in reality, Noela stood dazedly looking at her sister. Odell thought, I need to train my eyes to see things more clearly. The two looked at each other, falling into an unimaginable silence. After a long while, Noela finally spoke. Sister? Odell just smiled without replying, silently crying out, Oh, I'm so tired of this. But Noela remained carefree and innocent, unaware of what was happening. Who would suspect this angelic face? She sneered. No, it's a good thing if you two get together. She smiled with satisfaction, telling herself that while she felt stunned yesterday, thinking about it again, it wasn't so bad. Whether it's jealousy or provocation, if Noela is with Jerez, I won't have any lingering attachments to the prince. Life is limited, so there's no other way. But at least I can prevent being disgraced by a villain. Noela, with a worried heart, said, Jerez said we must go together. You're different from me, sister. You can live well even on your own, so it doesn't matter where you are. Odell was bewildered. What? Even if you two have a disagreement, what does that have to do with me? She said, That's right, you two are a good match anyway. When father returns, you must tell him immediately. Noela replied, I'm afraid you'll become a different person. She even patted Noela's shoulder. What are you talking about? Who could I become? Noela could only nod in agreement with her sister. Seeing Jerez sneaking a glance, Odell said, Hurry up and go, your lover is waiting. She raised her hand and pushed Noela away. You're staring so intensely, what if you start to cry? Finally, Noela agreed to leave. Jackie ran up from behind. My lady. Really, her expression wasn't very good. But in a little while, Odell interrupted. She'll make me angry? Watching Noela walk away, Jackie asked, It seems my lady is worried about her. What are you talking about? If I was worried about her, I wouldn't have come here in the first place. It's no exaggeration to say that all the powerful people in the South are gathered here. I was worried about how she would fare in a place like this. Someone like Noela, who isn't involved in business, really shouldn't have come. No, I should have pretended to be angrier, shouldn't I? But what can I do if I'm not actually upset? What is this? Why do I feel so restless? Jackie said, Let's see, this doesn't feel very sophisticated. How about we sit on the floor, kick our feet around, and add some crying? She acted so realistically that when she raised a handkerchief to wipe her eyes, she paused. I think I hear something. She immediately changed her expression and turned to see what it was. Her action made Jackie wonder, My lady, what's wrong? No, but didn't you hear something? Like a man's voice? A sound? It's just you and me here, my lady. She still trusted her intuition. No, it was clear. Just then, the sound of footsteps approached. Odell, so you're here. I was looking for you for a while but couldn't find you. Odell wondered in surprise. What does this person want now? Cousin? He's my cousin, but he's not happy that a girl like me could inherit the family business. Even so, because we share the same blood, I gave him a high position, but he looks at me like an enemy who stole something from him. He spoke up, asking, "It seems you were with Noella, but it ended so quickly. Did you come to ask about that?" She wondered. Why am I suddenly smiling to myself? Seeing his smirk, she thought, what dark scheme is he plotting now? He turned to look behind him. Those people over there. Most of them used to be by your side, weren't they? She waved her hand and replied, "Doing that won't work either. There's nothing to be upset about. It's obvious that there are many special people around Noela, but she's only getting attention because she came holding Jerez's hand. If you have time for things like this, why don't you review your work one more time? Father will return next week. You know he's not someone who easily forgives just because of blood ties. Is that what you mean? In your eyes, are those people just fools? There's no reason for them to be friendly with Noela, whom they never paid any attention to before." She crossed her arms and said, "Get to the point. This time Uncle will definitely choose the heir, right? But how do you know that?" The image of Noela's radiant smile flashed before her eyes as he mentioned one thing. The heir of the Sergio family can only be someone who is married. Hearing this, she was startled awake, her eyes wide with surprise and worry. According to family regulations, the heir must be married and of adult age. It does not discriminate between the youngest, men or women. But I don't need any of that. Odell returned and complained, "Why didn't I know about this until now?" The person stammered in reply, "My lady." She cut him off. "Is it true?" She clenched her fists. It felt like I had been betrayed. The position I thought was naturally mine might not be mine after all. Indeed, since I was born, I have lived the life of a perfect heir, without wasting a minute or a second looking at any of them. She turned back, snapping, "Even if my father didn't say a word about this, you should have told me." That's because, in the past, most of them held their weddings at the same time as their coming-of-age ceremony. Didn't the Count also say that Lady Odell was the most suitable to be the successor? So why are you only bringing this up now? I came here because I didn't think Lady Noella would marry Jerez. Even the Count doesn't know about this. Odell wearily rubbed her forehead. Stop it. So I thought I would get along with Jerez, and I gave them special priority to delay this political marriage. But that opportunity was ruined in a single morning. She asked, "Did my father say anything else?" "After you left, that was the first letter he sent. He told me to prepare for my lady's wedding so we can proceed as soon as he returns. The coming-of-age ceremony was a long time ago, so it would be better for securing the successor position. I'm just asking this just in case. Has that letter been sent to Noela yet?" "It seems that letter has already been sent to her." "Then that's fine." Just then Jackie came over and asked, "My lady, is something wrong?" "Yes." Such a cunning person. I saw the letter first and reached out to Jerez. He said he was going to leave anyway and urged me. I didn't think a young lady like her would think so much. Yes, just as you said. I mean, I'm not the kind of child who thinks that much. Considering Noella's evil deeds in the novel, this is ridiculous. It's not just about stealing her sister's fiancé. However, the fact that she was an illegitimate child was constantly brought up, and it became an inferiority complex. In the end, what she truly wanted became clearer. She clutched her dress. "I'll just do this." "My lady, please calm down. The Count thought you were a true successor. He can't change his mind over one of the family's traditions." "Change? Even so, there's another way. When the Count returns, what are you going to tell him about Noella marrying Jerez? Will he scold Lady Noella?" Compared to his appearance, he is a very capable person. My father is a person like that. He is a person whose thinking transcends common morality. He chose me as his successor not because I am the eldest daughter or the daughter of his legal wife. It's only because I have consistently shown him my achievements and abilities. And if I am lacking and have no value, my position will be stolen by my younger brother. So, I'll make a bet. Hearing this, Jackie shook her head in surprise. "It would be better to say you love him and then do it, rather than betraying him in this way. So what will you do now if you can find Jerez?" She seethed with anger. "Am I a recycling bin? What am I supposed to do with someone who left and said another woman was better? Could it be that you're saying you're giving up the successor position?" Odell shouted, "Are you crazy? I'd rather tear my own heart out." "There's no other way. No matter how much effort I've put in, I can't retreat like this. Noella won't become the successor immediately, but at the very least, my father will think less of me because I'm less capable than he thought," she said firmly. "I'll just switch men." Jackie was stunned. "What? I should change first to a man better than Jerez. But the Count will probably be here next week." "A week is enough for a man and a woman to meet. How am I supposed to know when I've never met them in person? After all, who are you going to marry? Even if you're in a hurry, you shouldn't decide something so quickly," she said. "At least he'll be better than Jerez." If I can find someone my father can approve of, he must at least be better than him first. Father won't care about their wealth. Our family's wealth is already too much anyway. I think so too. Where in this South is richer than Sergio? Even so, it would cause controversy. A person with solid capabilities would support my lady better. And first of all, he must be from a noble family to marry a count's daughter like me, because if we divorce, he might not leave quietly. I wish he were tall and good-looking. It's not for selfish reasons, but because there will be many opportunities to stand in front of crowds with me. If possible, he must be smart so we can understand each other, and it would be great if he doesn't cheat. Is that so? This isn't too bad, right? Jackie replied, It's not bad, but it's also unlikely to exist. Phew, I think so too. The more I talk, the more I realize that Jerez was a pretty decent guy, rich, not greedy, handsome, and smart too. Aish, how can someone so perfect still be single? In short, finding someone like that is very difficult. It's unbelievable that someone like that is still not married. I wonder if there's a holy man here. Jackie asked, A holy man? That's right. If you have everything you need and aren't greedy for it, if not a holy man of San Fidelio, what else could he be? But why is my lady's expression... Odell held up a hand. Wait a second. Why couldn't I think of that? After that, she and Jackie went to find a husband. Is there really no other way? Jackie hesitated. I don't know anything. What do you mean, what? Sitting in a carriage on a road full of flowers. No matter how you look at it, I have to go find a groom. The gold bars shone brilliantly. She said, I can't possibly go empty-handed, can I? Anywhere in the world, money is the source of relationships and courage, as well as a compass and a map. Although it's not a long trip from here to the Holy Temple, thinking about all the things I have to do there, it's good to bring a little extra money. Before Father arrives, I must find a suitable husband. The Count will probably head to the east first. If he crosses the Lennox Bridge there, he'll arrive within a week. If that Lennox Bridge were to collapse, would it take another week? Jackie informed her. It was completed last year. Who would destroy such a beautiful, bright bridge? Suddenly, Jackie thought of Caden. If that's the case, it would be better to ask him to find a groom. If it's my lady's order, he would probably bring one no matter what. But Jackie immediately shuddered as she remembered him. Are you sure he'd bring back something that's still alive? Although Caden says there's nothing he can't do for me, there are a few exceptions. He's especially sensitive about the people around me. So besides relying on others, I have no choice. Every time Caden appears, he gloomily asks, How should I kill them? Is my lady really not afraid of him? Odell tilted her head. Caden, why should I be afraid? Well, he is ridiculously handsome, but should I be a little colder? Jackie said. People tremble just from making eye contact with him. Odell defended him. Tremble? If he wasn't like that, he'd be cute. Jackie, intimidated, replied reluctantly, Yes, my lady. If you look closely, he's just like a puppy. If you ignore the hands and tail, just looking at that part, a lost hunting dog has appeared. If his mother were here, things might be a little different. I heard that before coming to the Count's house. He was severely abused by his biological mother. If I think back to when he first arrived. For now, just growing up this much is satisfying enough. He has a great job there, too. The tasks I entrust to Caden have never gone against my wishes. The reason those dark organizations always follow this giant merchant guild so closely. He himself is the hidden king of the underworld? Well, anyway, there's nothing to worry about with him because I've covered things up very well. Actually, we should be worried about my lady first. Suddenly, Odell exclaimed with excitement, Wow! She was captivated by the gentle, ethereal beauty of the San Fidelio Holy Temple, the place of worship for the god Enes, the founding deity of the Theolan Empire. It is a famous landmark representing the South, but no one can enter and exit as they please. This is a secret place where priests, holy maidens, knights, and monks reside. It's a place like the spiritual hub of the empire. Just looking at it brings comfort to the soul. Each person looks up at the holy temple, and what they see is different. For some it is peace. For others it is faith and courage. And for me it's my future husband. It's a beautiful holy temple, so it would be nice if the groom were handsome. It's a bit reckless, but if considered carefully, there's no one more suitable for a husband than a knight from that place. I've heard that just by training there, I can find out all the information about their family, background, health, and potential. If there's no information, they can't enter the training, so there's no place that gathers such ideal husbands. Since they are all inherently inviolable people, their desires are probably diminished. But it's not like I've checked. Besides, compared to having a strong sexual desire, having none is better. Anyway, it's a contract marriage, so I can't restrain excessive desires. So, although it's a bit lacking, choosing a husband must be 100 times more cautious. Even if all the men in this world lie, as long as it's not my man. That can be discussed when I find a real husband. For now, I have to look at the big picture. Just then, Jackie asked, "My lady, but do the Knights of the Holy Temple marry? I've never heard of that before." "It's just rare, that's all. Legally, there's no problem. If we didn't know that, we wouldn't have come all this way. The very idea of a marital relationship with the Holy Temple is foreign to ordinary people. The Ildun Merchant Guild, all information is compiled and recorded. Among that information, there is a lot related to religion. First, if you want to enter the Holy Temple, you must undergo arduous training at a monastery. After that, based on the characteristics of the power received from the training and their own will, they are divided into priests and knights. Just getting that far eliminates 9/10 of them. Some might think this is too harsh, but that system has contributed to the high reputation of the Holy Temple. Because if it were a place anyone could enter, it couldn't become an object of envy." She said, "Even if it's not a priest, marrying a knight is not a bad thing. Even if a son is at the great Holy Temple representing the family's honor, you can't let the eldest son bear the family's responsibilities, right?" Jackie replied, "That's true. There's no guarantee of passing either. It's possible to die during training. In the end, even if you become a knight, you're just a blooming wild plum blossom without assets or title. So when you're young, you have to secure your future before you get old. I will marry a capable husband, who will give me a solid foundation." Just then, the coachman spoke up. "My lady, we have arrived. What now?" She said, "Wait a moment." Jackie said, "I heard everything my lady said, but even so, does my lady want us to enter the monastery with her? Even if we knock, we probably can't sneak in." "Who's sneaking in? I also have the dignity of the successor of the Sergio family, which reigns over the south." "No, surely you don't intend to use money," Odell retorted. "What are you talking about? How much money has already been poured in here? How can I pour in more?" "So, is that so?" She took out a stack of papers and fanned them. "Of course, I've come to collect money." Arriving at the temple gate, a young man stood tall and said, "It will be difficult if you do this. Please go back. Our Lady has gone to great trouble to come here." He was adamant. "This is not an ordinary temple, but the Holy Temple of San Fidelio. You have come to see the Archbishop without an appointment." Odell frowned, thinking, "First I have to deal with this person." She approached and spoke. "Regarding this matter, we were the ones who were rude." He turned and saw her beauty, exclaiming, "Oh, oh, oh." Then they coughed to regain their composure. "You must make an appointment in advance. You must have had a hard time getting here, but the rules cannot be broken." Suddenly, a voice rang out. "Is there something interesting going on there?" Why was there no announcement about a visitor? "Ah, Vice Archbishop Samuel." Odell glanced at the approaching man. It was the Vice Archbishop. The knights are certainly cool, but if it's a priest, there's a quiet, restrained charm like you see in the movies. The Vice Archbishop asked, "Who is this young lady?" Odell inwardly screamed, "Ah, the Vice Archbishop! I can only meet the Vice Archbishop." The knight pointed and said, "This young lady says she wishes to see the Archbishop." "See the Archbishop?" "Ha! Coming to see the Archbishop without an appointment. That's a bit surprising. It seems you've come from quite a distance, but this is a difficult situation." Odell thought, "He's not even looking at me directly." She replied, "That's probably true. San Fidelio is not what you think, my lady. This is a place of ascetic practice to exercise self-restraint and learn perseverance according to the words of the noble Saint Ines. That is a matter of course. This is also a place to learn about the principles of life, love, and grace." Hearing her say that, he was startled and paused. Now he finally glanced at her and asked, "From which family do you hail?" He was instantly startled. A face with clear, refined features and black hair. If the pupils are reddish-pink, then... Could it be? She replied, "A pleasure to meet you, Vice Archbishop. I am Odell of the house of Count Sergio." "Why is the daughter of Count Sergio here at this time?" "Because I came here not as a member of the Count's family, but as the heir of the Ildun Merchant Guild." He thought in amazement, "I don't have the power of prophecy, but the feeling I've developed after living as a priest for more than half my life is kicking in. That there's something not good here. First, I have to send her back." He was about to say something when Odell suddenly turned away. "This is truly a beautiful place. Staying in a place like this must be refreshing for the spirit." The Vice Archbishop hurried after her. "Thank you for your compliment. As I said, there are procedures at the Holy Temple. There will be no exceptions. You are a noble of high standing. I hope you understand what I am saying." "I don't understand. I have similar disciplines in my own merchant guild. No matter the situation, it is not given for free to strangers. But there is one exception, only for the priests of San Fidelio." Jackie came forward and handed him a stack of receipts. He took them, trembling as he realized, This is the hotel I stayed at. Odell said, "The hotels owned by our family do not accept any guests without a prior reservation in order to provide the best possible service. This is last month's receipt. However, only the priests of San Fidelio are always welcomed." He said warily, "That, if it's this matter, then, as you can see, the amount is not small, so we have suffered quite a financial loss. But we cannot impose rules on those with a mission to spread the word of the Holy Spirit throughout the empire. That makes us grateful. I am only following the command of Saint Ennis to love and help visitors from afar as if they were our own family. Therefore, many people try to pretend they don't know each other after sleeping for free for hundreds of nights." She recalled a conversation with her father. "Right now, even the cheapest room is 200 or 300 coins a night. So why do we need to provide it for free to the priests?" He put down his teacup and slowly told her, "They say that the more seeds you sow, the more fruit you will harvest." Indeed, in business, father was ahead of his time. "I don't intend to stay here long. After speaking with the archbishop, I think I will return immediately." "Lady Odell." Before he could finish, Odell said, "On second thought, the robe you are wearing looks like the fabric we released last year. It suits you very well. For a devout worshiper of God, that is the greatest honor." He clutched his head and staggered, leaning against a pillar. "Oh dear, you're overwhelming me again. The pillar you are leaning on was donated by our family during the festival 2 years ago. Ah yes, and the statue you are looking at as well. I also chose the color of the stone." The vice-archbishop rubbed his forehead and replied with a sigh of helpless resignation, "But the archbishop is not here now. You won't be able to see him even if you go in. When I return, I will be sure to pass on your message to the archbishop first." She continued to list her contributions. The inscription at the base of the statue was directly carved by the most talented artist in the South, whom I invited. Melting 100 kilos of gold at once during the festival paralyzed all the work of the Workers' Association, but above all, I was deeply moved by it. Check it with your own eyes, then you will find the answer. She recalled an earlier time when she was standing and gazing out the window. Then her father approached and said, "Odell, nothing is free. Among the hundreds of priests and knights who will be granted these items, 10 will become powerful leaders. 5 of them will rule the South, and the one at the top will shake the entire empire." It's a noteworthy fact, but even when you went to the Park Temple last month, they didn't say that, did they? And last month at the Tena Temple. And the month before that at the Messia Temple. That's reasonable. But winning the item is not everything. Odell, a business person, is not someone who saves every single penny. So that was father's deeper meaning. At this moment, the vice-archbishop pushed the door open. "Ahem, Lady Odell." "Ah yes, vice-archbishop. As I told you before, the archbishop is currently absent." She smiled and replied, "But you did say someone is acting in his stead." He immediately froze, turning his face away to avoid her gaze. "Because I have pleaded, please meet with that person. He is completely different from what you imagine. What you see inside, please keep it a secret from everyone." Please don't worry, keeping secrets is the #1 rule at the Ilden Merchant Guild. She thought to herself, what kind of charm is placed in there? "My lady, may I tell you a few surprising things in advance?" "Yes, of course." In fact, that person has a strict rule about their comings and goings. At this rate, even if you are watched, you won't be able to overhear anything. "Well, all right. Just learn these 50 simple precautions and go in." Odell turned to her maid. "Honestly, Jackie, weren't you just about to ask the vice-archbishop about the sacred doctrines?" Seeing Jackie standing there stunned, she thought to herself, "Of course you were, you had to be. Don't live so kindly." She gestured for Jackie to nod. Then she suddenly grabbed the vice-archbishop and ran off. "I have so much I want to say, vice-archbishop." "Yes, wait a moment." Now only Odell was left. She turned and approached the door. "Well, this is it." She raised her hand to knock, knock, knock. "So this is real. It's not something you can open directly, so it must be something similar to that power, right?" She was briefly startled, but saw nothing. Before her was pitch black. So this was the surprise the vice-archbishop mentioned. "Greetings to the deity who represents the guardian of the moon and sun, Ns. I am Odell, eldest daughter of Count Sergio. To meet the representative of the guardian deity is an unparalleled honor." A voice rang out, "You may dispense with the formalities." She was secretly amazed. The voice is gentle yet still very dignified, as expected of a voice befitting a deity's representative, and he seems younger than I imagined. Someone spoke up asking, "I heard you traveled a long way to get here. I apologize for not being able to make an appointment. San Fidelio did not respect me and did not allow me to see you." The person replied, "This is clearly an important matter." She thought, this seems to be something not found everywhere. This is the first time I've met someone with a more oppressive presence than my father. Who is this person, really? I remember seeing the archbishop from a distance, but I don't remember anything else. Most religious events in the empire are held on imperial holidays, so if my father, the representative of the merchant guild, goes to the main cathedral, shouldn't I, the successor, be doing business in the second largest temple? If I had known, I would have come here. He asked. I heard from the vice archbishop that you have helped this holy temple a great deal. Not at all, what I have done is nothing. So what do you want? Odell thought to herself. His personality seems more impatient than I thought. If I answer I want to marry you right after he asks, that would be a bit wrong, wouldn't it? Suddenly he said, your purpose is the same as the purpose of those who seek out this temple. You want power, don't you? She was stunned and let out a huh. You want to rule this world, don't you? No. Then it's money, isn't it? It's money, right? Faced with his speculations, she thought to herself, even if you try to restrain yourself, you won't be able to hold back. Isn't this like the story of the golden axe or the silver axe? He's clearly telling me to hurry up, pick one, and get lost, right? A god with a youthful voice but full of ridicule. She smiled brightly and replied, thank you for your offer, but I am of the Sergio family. Not power nor money. Then you want to rule this tower, right? I have many things to do right now. If you want me to help you harm someone. Not that either. I have Caden for that. It would be a waste of time to come all this way to ask for such things. Besides, I don't want to get involved in something I know for sure Noella is trying to do to harm someone else. She regained her confidence. Let's end this reasonably. And let me say this in advance. What I want is not to stay young forever, or to become a noble priestess, or to have peace after death. He continued, but absolute beauty? No. It is more important than anything you have mentioned. She stepped closer. Perhaps to you everything is meaningless, but just then a beam of light shone out, blinding her. I can't open my eyes. Even if I try. The light clearly illuminated his face. He was a young, handsome man with eyes as blue as the sky. He said, that seems to be true. She stared at him, stunned, as silence fell between them. Their eyes met and did not leave. She thought, if father were in the same position, as ridiculous as it is, I would definitely ask. Clearly no one said anything about a living god in the temple. Seeing her staring at him without saying anything, he asked, what is it, my lady? Are your eyes swollen? Ah, no, she thought to herself. My eyes are swollen because of you. Father probably didn't see him just now. Father is looking for all the important figures in the South. He can't just leave famous people alone just because of their looks. Get a grip. I didn't come here to be mesmerized by a man's face. First, I need to know who this person is. She said, perhaps because it's a plateau, the sunlight is also strong. Where is the clue? The crest of San Fidelio, but he doesn't seem to be a priest. If he's not a priest, he could be the archbishop's representative. That must be a man under 30. It's not a position worth doing that for. This place must have a sword. So he's a holy knight. It seems you've seen everything. You are Lady Odell, correct? My introduction is a bit late. Not at all. I would like to extend my greetings to you again. Although I know a high-ranking knight would be very loyal, the host of the party would still be a priest. Starting from the archbishop, the major positions are naturally held by those who came from the priesthood. There is only one exception. First time we've met, I suppose. Greetings, Knight Captain of San Fidelio. He narrowed his eyes. Is there perhaps nothing else to say? That was just my speculation. He looked around and said, this robe is not a knight's uniform. Habits are hard to change, aren't they, Captain? If it weren't for that face, I probably would have realized sooner. A man perfect down to his neck, but only his belt is loose. There's also a callus on his index finger. Before entering, it was also at the request of the vice archbishop. After finding out there's more than one thing getting in the way, she cautiously replied, if I am mistaken, I apologize. No, even if there's a penalty, it's fine. She chuckled to herself. Indeed, after a long period of training in the ice cave of Kenlohan, you must be tired. He asked coldly, is that also written on my robe? How poetic. Actually, this is much easier. I think a man like him would be able to keep a secret. There were a few events at San Fidelio this year, but there were no rumors about this man. Among the noble lineages in the South, most unmarried women were allowed to participate, but no one said anything. This means no one saw this man. Thinking this, she said, that's impossible. I have never met anyone based in the South who was promoted to the position of knight captain. Of course, I just thought you must have been training in the ice cave. It seems you know of Kenlohan's ice cave. Of course. The position of knight captain of the Great Holy Temple doesn't just fall from the sky. It would be absurd if he just finished normal training. At the very least, being in a notoriously dangerous ice canyon would make sense. That would also explain why he has never shown himself until now. So what did you want to talk about? For me, at least, it is a matter of a lifetime. Of course, marriage is a matter of a lifetime. To be precise, it's a contract marriage, but there's no need to explain it in such detail. I originally came to the Archbishop to be introduced to the most suitable partner. Suddenly, a thought flashed in her mind. A partner? An introduction? While she was lost in thought, he called out, "My lady." She snapped back to reality. This isn't very logical. The knight captain is also a holy knight. His abilities are outstanding, so his future will be bright. Moreover, his appearance is beyond reproach. Although Jerez is also handsome, that's someone else's business. This man is like a beautiful icon representing the peace of the entire nation, transcending race, nationality, and preference. Stay calm. First, I need to calm down. What's wrong with you, my lady? I still haven't heard your name. He was silent for a moment before replying. I am Kilian Setian. I see, Setian. Luckily, I've never heard of this family name before. A capable man without family support is the most suitable. What about his age? How old is he? After thinking, she immediately probed. Thank you, Captain. Anyway, you seem younger than me, but you're already the knight captain. That's amazing. Kilian frowned. Young? I am 21 this year. At most, you would be the same age as me. That's how it looks. I am 6 years older than you. Ah, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. She secretly rejoiced, age also passed. She continued to probe. I'm not usually this hasty, but my apologies. Please send my apologies to your wife. Kilian immediately replied, I am not married. She silently cheered, Hada, oh my Archbishop, thank you! To meet the representative at just the right time when I came here. Isn't this due to the presence of a god? At this moment, an unprecedented piety emerged. Don't get excited, there's still one more thing. By the way, may I ask one more thing? I wonder if the captain likes blondes. Kilian heard her question and a question mark appeared over his head. With wide eyes, she awaited his answer. He replied, I don't. She tried to probe a little more. Blonde hair like that looks very angelic, or... He immediately cut her off. It doesn't. My lady, are you all right? Of course. She thought to herself. Past. This is fine too. Thank you for listening to me all this time. Anyway, you must be tired from all the activity. And if it's that important, the person you should be talking to is the Archbishop, not me. He will see you in 2 weeks. Let's talk about this then. She frantically replied, No, that's too late. Kilian stopped and wondered, Too late? No matter how urgent it is, anything related to you, my lady, will be beneficial to the Archbishop. No, if the captain helps, it will be much better. Are you talking about me? Her voice became determined. Yes. No matter who you bring here, no one can help more than the captain. Kilian was silent for a moment, not knowing whether to agree with her or not. Finally, he looked at her and said calmly, All right, then first you have to tell me one thing. Seeing him approach, she was briefly startled. He asked coldly, What exactly did you want to tell me? Her expression became awkward, her voice tense. Anyway, I was very worried about what to do, but I'm glad you accepted. I think you'll be surprised. He shook his head indifferently. But I doubt that will happen. She sighed. That's life. There are important things that need to be resolved. He cut her off, saying, So keep it short. With no other choice, she just said it. Let's get married. The atmosphere suddenly became suspiciously quiet. There was a hint of ambiguity in it, but after a long moment, there was still no reply from him. She wondered, Are you okay? Kilian's face was emotionless as he asked in a cold voice, What are you talking about? She nonchalantly replied, Let's get married. His voice held a hint of disbelief. You're proposing to me the first time we've met? She shrugged and said, I suppose so. He said helplessly, We don't know each other. In contrast to him, she seemed very optimistic about this. Why not, even if we've only just met? You are an unmarried man of marrying age, and also a holy knight of San Fidelio at the Great Holy Temple. So if you are the Archbishop's representative, you will have considerable power besides swordsmanship. The goatee is an Orson custom to the extent that if you call it ingrained in their blood, it's likely that anyone who has lived there for a long time has experienced it. Regardless of whether he cared or not, she continued. He sighed and said, Lady Odell. Even at this point, he maintained his composure. She couldn't help but praise him. He had enough patience and manners to listen to the crazy ramblings of a woman he had just met without getting angry. She tried to choose her words to persuade him. And if there's anything else we need to know, can't we learn it slowly? Marriage is inherently a union between strangers. He clenched his fist, his voice clearly flustered. I don't know why I have to do this, but... He looked at her seriously and said, I also know one thing clearly, my lady. Now it was her turn to be surprised. Huh, about me? He observed her from head to toe and said frankly, "You are too smart to be crazy. You haven't been honest with me. I will absolutely not leave until I have heard the story properly." After she had explained the situation clearly, he asked thoughtfully, "So you need the position of the head successor?" She replied nonchalantly, "That position was mine from the beginning, and it will be in the future as well." He nodded. "I see." She sighed unhappily. "My father thought I would naturally marry a friend of mine." Suddenly he wondered, "Did you think so too, my lady?" She gave a slight nod, her expression hesitant. "Yes, but it seems that thought has changed now." "Well, that's fine too, as long as it suits my little sister." Remembering her strange question from before, he wondered, "So your sister has blonde hair?" Her expression became strained. "What? This man?" Then she answered flusteredly, "Yes, yes." He suddenly turned his face away and coughed lightly to change the subject. Then he spoke. "It seems you aren't being very honest either." She nodded and replied, "Of course." Inwardly, she wondered, am I holding back a laugh? Is it my mood? Waiting for the atmosphere to return to normal, she explained seriously to him, "It's just that the work up there is too busy. This world isn't humane enough to wait for someone else to pay attention." Hearing her say that, he seriously expressed his thoughts. "So you see marriage as a mandatory task right now, don't you? That's not an easy thought for a normal girl." She replied nonchalantly, "Those who want to love just need to find someone they love. I don't." He clenched his fingers. "Then why me?" She didn't answer but asked back, "So, does the captain want love?" This was the umpteenth time today he had fallen silent at her question. She kept a smile on her face, thinking to herself, how could that be? I can't imagine those cold eyes looking at someone warmly. She fiddled with her fingers. Everything will be in exchange. If we act like a perfect couple in front of my father, then I will do whatever the captain wants. There's nothing I can't handle. Everything that exists in this world I can get. To prove her words, she gave a few examples. "Even the only precious gem in the world will be in your hands within a week." He said indifferently, "I'm not interested in gemstones." She tried another offer. "The ancient magical sword Shavia, the holy sword of dawn, I can give them to you, along with the strategies of King Johas the Fur." He was not moved in the slightest by her conditions. "With those conditions, there would be a long line for you to choose from. It's not necessary to choose me." She thought in surprise, I had such high hopes. But he's really too proud. If he's a knight, he should be able to dedicate his life without hesitation. In that case, he continued coldly, "One day you should consider going to the imperial palace." His words gave her an idea. She smiled and replied, "You wouldn't be satisfied with the command of San Fidelio, right?" He was slightly surprised. "Why would you think that?" She continued, "Cramped, hungry, cold." Thinking of the harsh conditions of this country, she couldn't deny it. No matter how powerful someone is, they would want to go to the south. She looked at him, feeling full of confidence. "I have never seen a man from the south who didn't want to go to the capital. Moreover, it's impossible for a man like you to stay here forever. If it were a bet, I would bet my entire fortune." Her thoughts turned into words. Entering the imperial palace is the ultimate goal of a knight. But this will absolutely not be easy. Without power, not to mention the existing resources and strategies, it's not the only thing the entire empire is looking at. Killian's eyes grew cold, his voice full of hidden meaning. "So what?" Odell flashed a confident smile, her posture proud as she said, "At that time, I will use the honor of the House of Sergio and support you with all my might so you can achieve what you want. I will give you that solid path." Despite her tempting offer, he remained resolute. "I refuse." She didn't expect him to be so firm and said in surprise, "Captain." She pressed her lips together, thinking, I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I thought he would at least consider it. He stood up, his voice indifferent. "I have heard your story, and I believe I have fulfilled my responsibility to a guest. You should go," she said flusteredly. "If you would consider it further." Killian looked at her coldly and enunciated each word. "No, I have never changed a decision I have made." Seeing she couldn't sway him, she had no choice but to say, "Yes." She suddenly stood up. "I understand your meaning, Captain. You are not interested in fame or fortune." Her sudden change in attitude surprised him. He nodded and replied, "That's right." She turned to leave in disappointment. "Yes, if that's the case." The sound of her high heels echoed with each step. Killian silently watched her retreating back, thinking to himself, she's leaving so easily? For some reason, a sense of disappointment rose within him. His fist clenched as he wondered, what was I even expecting? Finally, he spoke softly, "Travel safely." Odell stopped at the door. He called out in confusion, "Lady Odell." Suddenly she spoke, From there to here. Then she turned around and looked at him seriously. With a radiant expression, she tried to offer again, I will lay a carpet of gold. Killian's expression was one of slight surprise, not understanding the intention behind her words. She gave a faint smile and continued, a path of flowers is too boring. A moment later, her shouts echoed across the courtyard of the holy temple. Let go of me and let's talk. As the priest escorted her out, she struggled and shouted loudly, Let go! Jackie rushed over. What's going on, my lady? She finally broke free and said irritably, You see it and you don't understand? Jackie was still worried sick. Are you all right? She thought angrily. What is this? Returning to a few minutes earlier, 2 priests were summoned by Killian. Captain? He spoke coldly. Drag her out this way. As she was being dragged away, he didn't forget to mock her. Paving a path of flowers is a bit difficult, but I can show you the way out. Rejected so bluntly twice. Her steps became unsteady, and she felt extremely frustrated inside. Thinking it over and over, she was still at a loss for words. Jackie supported her arm and asked in a low voice, Did the conversation inside not go smoothly? She frowned. Hold on, I need to think for a moment. The maid looked around and said, But who did you talk to that it came to this? A figure appeared in the distance. Jackie shouted, My lady, over there! Seeing Killian's flawless, sparkling beauty, the maid became infatuated. Over there, the incarnation of a god, the statue of a god has awakened. She was speechless at Jackie's stammering demeanor and said indifferently, That's him. Inwardly, she thought, I must have looked just as foolish. The maid was still lost in her infatuation. Killian called out softly, Lady Odell. She turned away coldly, her voice impatient. You didn't need to come out to check, you've already pointed out the right way. She glared at him. If that's the case, why did you pretend to be so sincere from the beginning? He couldn't grasp her thoughts and replied nonchalantly, What does that mean? Are you perhaps talking about the gold? Odell whipped around and shouted angrily, No, I won't pave it, I won't, so don't bring it up again. Hearing that, he breathed a sigh of relief. Then that's a relief. You're not the kind of man. He hesitated to speak. I'm really curious. Why did you ask about power and money? If I had told you to give them to me, what would you have done? She replied decisively. If that were the case, you would have been out here long ago. Having misspoken, she quickly covered her mouth and lamented. I was too outspoken. His attitude remained as aloof as before. In short, my answer is the same. If it's about that matter, please wait until the person with real authority, the Archbishop, returns. He even kindly reminded her, The road down the mountain is dangerous. I will have someone escort you. That is all I can do to reciprocate the goodwill of the House of Sergio. His words surprised her. He continued, So I will ensure your safety on the way. She shook her head and replied flatly, No need. I refuse. Worried for her safety, he had no choice but to remind her, Is that all right? On waning moon nights like tonight, monsters come and go. Hearing that, she smiled. Her words filled with sarcasm. Thank you for your kind offer, but if you continue like this, you'll make me misunderstand. She gave him a nod as a farewell. I'm leaving. With that, she turned and left, conveniently pulling her love-struck maid along with her. Jackie dawdled, saying, My lady, wait for me. I haven't finished praying yet. She clicked her tongue. I told you. He's a person. Killian watched her leave, his expression thoughtful. As soon as they were out of sight, the two of them started running. After ducking into a deserted corner, she turned and gasped for air. Phew? Jackie asked worriedly. Are you all right? First, take a deep breath. As she tried to calm her breathing, she replied, So embarrassing. The maid looked at Odell and asked in a low voice, But my lady, did you really just propose marriage to the statue of a god? Ah, no. To that knight? She looked at Jackie suspiciously and said coldly, Why, did you really? Jackie sighed. So, you really did it. To avoid misunderstanding, Odell frowned and made an excuse. It's not what you think. That whole love at first sight thing. It's just that he coincidentally met the standards. The maid heard this and said nonchalantly, That standard included his face, didn't it? Odell turned to glare at her, and Jackie immediately changed her tune. Of course, there's no way my lady would fall for him. The maid chose her words to comfort her. Anyway, my lady, don't be too sad. Just think of it as confessing to a wooden statue and getting rejected. I forgot, thank you. Jackie continued optimistically. Anyway, it's better than dragging things out and getting nothing. Giving up quickly and going back isn't so bad. She crossed her arms and looked wearily at her foolish maid. Give up on who? I haven't done anything yet. What are you going to do if we go back? Her whole body was burning with determination as she said, If I don't do it, I don't do it, but if a woman holds a knife, She should at least be able to stab a man. Seeing this, Jackie wondered, but what if he already has a lover? She shook her head and asked the maid in return, "No, if it were you, would you let your lover come to a place like this? Who knows what could happen?" Jackie sighed. Then he probably doesn't have a lover. Remembering Kylian's warning from earlier, Jackie asked worriedly, "So are you going back to think it over now? I heard there are monsters on the road. Will anything happen?" She turned and said, "We won't encounter them. No, it's impossible to encounter them." Seeing the cunning look on her lady's face, Jackie immediately understood. Every time she's like this, she's planning something. The maid thought to herself, what kind of trick is my lady planning now? At this moment, the vice archbishop said apologetically, "Commander, my apologies. I should have stopped them better." Killian was still busy reviewing reports and replied indifferently, "It seems no one was stopped, I don't mind." The man was still hesitant. However, Killian cut him off. "I know there are still some reports left." He kept his head down, working, and asked calmly, "When will the archbishop return?" The vice archbishop continued, "It will take 2 weeks. Since His Majesty the Emperor personally summoned him, it seems he cannot leave beforehand. His Majesty's illness must be more severe than people know." After speaking, he looked at Killian nervously, thinking to himself, what a great man. His emotionless demeanor made the vice archbishop feel nothing but admiration. All the paladins are buzzing about Lady Odell's visit. How can he not show any fluctuation at all? He even pushed her away so coldly. Suddenly, he spoke up, asking, "Michael, what's the situation outside?" Michael immediately replied, "This morning, the head priest personally checked the barrier. There were no abnormalities, so please rest assured." Renan suddenly appeared, smiling and saying, "Hey, isn't that a matter of course? It's the same even if you ask, Commander. Who would dare to break into San Fidelio?" Killian frowned in annoyance. Renan continued to chat casually. "But by the way, Vice Archbishop Samuel, I heard the lady of the Sergio house came this morning. Is it true?" He replied, "Yes." Seeing him gossiping like this, Samuel said, "The family's special eye color. It's so special that everyone knows it." Hearing this, Renan became visibly excited. "I heard her pupils are pink." Suddenly his eyes widened, looking in a certain direction. He pointed at the ruby on Killian's quill, exclaiming with excitement, "That's right, it seems to be the same color as the end of the commander's quill." Michael saw his complete lack of tact and scolded him. "What kind of disrespectful act are you committing?" Looking at that foolish face, he had to sigh and say, "Anyway, let's go outside and talk about it." "In front of the commander?" Killian asked coldly. "Is there something that cannot be said to me?" Michael was startled and looked at him, stammering, "Calm, Commander, it's not like that." With the scolding over, Renan chimed in, "You see, the commander is fine." He tried to imagine Odell's appearance and said enthusiastically, "Anyway, the apprentice knights won't be offended. I'm from the northern part of the country, so I don't know for sure. But those from the south say that family is that famous." At this point, Renan suddenly wondered, thinking about it, isn't the vice archbishop's hometown in the south? Is the family really that famous? Samuel nodded. "Yes. There is no one who doesn't know of Sergio." He recalled the count and said seriously, "He was originally as wealthy as his ancestors. But the count, the current master, has developed the family so much that there are rumors that all the money in the south flows into it." Hearing about money, Renan's eyes crinkled in a smile. Michael slapped him hard on the back. Hurt by the slap, he whined in protest. "Ouch, why are you like that? Everyone thinks the same way." Michael frowned, his voice impatient. "The same as what?" The two of them continued their verbal sparring. Renan said loudly, "Let's make a bet and ask 100 apprentice knights if there's a beautiful lady from a powerful family. I bet not a single one wouldn't have the same thought." Michael said angrily, "This guy is unbelievable!" The vice archbishop looked at them with concern. Renan was still lost in a fantasy. There would be no magic. If you were with a lady like that, wouldn't everything you set out to do come true? Michael, at his wits' end with him, pushed Renan out while complaining, "Get out! Get out!" Suddenly a chill ran down Renan's spine. The feeling came so suddenly that he had to look around cautiously. Michael saw this and wondered, "What now?" Renan replied, No, just now. I felt that the longer I stay, the worse it gets." He then said, It's nothing. I'm going out. Somewhere else." Michael grumbled and scolded, "You should stop when I tell you to. You can do this after you've eliminated all the monsters outside the barrier." Mentioning work, Renan looked at him nervously and stammered, That. Even though I did my best, there have been so many demonic beasts in there all winter." Michael knew he wanted to be lazy and quickly cut him off. "The temple will soon have more visitors. I told you to handle it neatly before then. Renan pouted. Isn't it more than enough to stab them 2 or 3 times at once? Michael urged him. Deal with it soon. What if a carriage arrives? Suddenly, Killian's nonstop writing hand paused. He asked Michael, Are there many demonic beasts? The man was surprised. Commander! Faced with everyone's confused expressions, he gave an order. All right, everyone out. Vice Archbishop, you go out too. Only Renan replied innocently, Yes, sir. Seeing everyone looking at him, he scratched his head and said, Please understand, Commander. Seeing Killian paying him no mind, Renan had no choice but to continue. He's a guy who's used to roughing it outside, so it seems the Holy Temple is quite suffocating for him. At this moment, he was staring intently at the ruby on his pen. Worried for Odell's safety, he decided to go see for himself. Seeing him suddenly stand up, Michael wondered, Commander. He didn't hesitate to grab his sword. Killian left without a word. Michael asked worriedly, Where are you going? I will assist you. He said coldly, No need. Before leaving the door, he said nonchalantly, It won't be too late. Even though he said that, Michael still followed, his heart filled with worry. What on earth happened to make him so rushed? Recalling his expression from before, he thought to himself, This is the first time I've seen such a sorrowful expression on his face since he left the ice cave. Michael had no choice but to try and stop him. Commander, please don't be like this. I will go with you. Killian, who was walking, stopped. Michael called out in surprise. Commander, he spoke. That is, the man wondered. Yes, what are you saying? Michael looked in the direction Killian was looking. He saw the High Priestess and 2 other girls and replied, Are you talking about the people following the High Priestess? Judging by their clothes, they seem to be volunteers serving the High Priestess. Killian's voice grew cold. I know that much. He approached the group and called out, High Priestess. Hearing someone call her, she turned and greeted him. Commander, so you were there. He wondered, Those people over there. The High Priestess heard this and smiled, explaining, Some rather commendable young ladies came to me and said they wanted to help with the temple's work. She looked at him and continued cheerfully. Although we face many difficulties due to the age of the volunteers, I am truly very grateful. Luckily, it has gone quite well. With that, she turned to talk to the handmaidens. Well, come and say hello. This is the commander, a knight of San Fidelio. One of the 2 handmaidens stepped forward, her dark black hair fluttering in the wind, her voice gentle. Yes, High Priestess. The young lady walked lightly, so gracefully. She knelt on one knee before him. Killian was briefly stunned. He frowned and asked in a low voice, What are you doing here? He was about to call her name, Lady Aban, but she quickly cut him off. Agnes, a humble servant of the god. Odell opened her hood, her radiant face greeting him. Noble commander of San Fidelio, may the deep blessings of the god Annis be upon you. Inwardly, she thought, Hello, we meet again. Jackie looked at her lady worriedly and asked, Do we really have to stay here, my lady? Odell corrected her seriously. It's Agnes. She instructed primly. Sister Jacqueline must lower her voice when in the holy temple. The maid immediately wilted. Oh dear. She still hadn't stopped teasing, continuing to remind her. You have to straighten your shoulders like this, right? As a volunteer, you are naturally a person of San Fidelio. Jackie said awkwardly, But do we really have to do this? She answered leisurely. If not, then what? Among the great holy temples, this is the only one where a woman can stay. A faint smile played on her lips, her eyes filled with determination. Now that I'm here, I can't just turn back like this. For her, this was truly the ideal place to find a marriage partner. It's not like you can just turn around and see your future husband sitting calmly in a room. In such a rush, I can't miss a place with so many choices for my future husband. She clenched her fist, vowing to herself, I will finish everything here. Jackie was still worried sick. Will the Merchant Guild be okay? Everyone is waiting for you, my lady. Not only was she not impatient, but she also smiled radiantly. For now, we just have to tell them to wait. What else can we do? If there are any mistakes, perhaps I will have nowhere to return to forever. Luckily, everything for this quarter has been arranged, so we still have plenty of time until the trading ship docks. At the last party, I also met all the clients I needed to see for the near future. And if there's anything urgent, there's always Jerez. Although she said that, she was still a little worried. In fact, I also feel uneasy because this is the first time I've entrusted the entire work of the Merchant Guild to someone else like this. But that's because this place is truly not simple. It's better for me to finish one thing completely than to worry about 2 things at once and fail at both. The door to the room suddenly opened. The High Priestess entered and said warmly, So you're all here. I told you to go to the resting room and rest. She quickly walked over. She bowed respectfully. High Priestess. She immediately helped her up, patting her shoulder gently and saying, "You don't need to do that. Hurry and raise your head." Odell replied, "Not at all. Thanks to the High Priestess's generosity, I finally have the opportunity to volunteer for the god Enes." Seeing her so enthusiastic, the High Priestess said with satisfaction, "Never expected there to be such a well-behaved daughter in the Sergio family. I've only been living in the Holy Temple, so I didn't know about this." Jackie pursed her lips at her acting. "What the hell is wrong with my lady?" On this side, Odell was still busy trying to win over the High Priestess. "Although I couldn't come to the Holy Temple because I was too busy with my family, my heart has always been with the god Enes." Hearing that, she nodded. "So that's why you received a holy name before." She immediately replied, "Yes, my father came here himself and received the name Agnes for me." She thought to herself, "Although that's because San Fidelio is the most powerful and wealthy holy temple right now." Although the High Priestess was very happy she came, she was still worried, saying, "But my lady, you are someone who has never had to even touch water before. I don't think this is something you have to do." Odell waved her hand and replied with a smile, "Not at all, I have to do it too. Consider it a divine lesson." Remembering the past, she thought to herself, "Actually, when running the Merchant Guild, it was rare for me to just sit and count money elegantly as others might think. I had to handle work decisively, getting angry and yelling. On the contrary, among the ladies of my age, I'm the type who has gone through many difficult things. Going through work in the morning is not so bad." She smiled to herself. "Besides, I don't have the right to choose now." She thought pensively. "For example, let's say Noela becomes the successor of the Merchant Guild. Even if I die and come back to life and then succeed to become the head of the family, I would still be considered an accessory to Noela. So I can't throw bait to an enemy with fiery eyes for him to gnaw on for the rest of his life." Speaking of power and benefits, her eyes showed clear determination. Putting someone else in the middle would be awkward. What's mine must remain mine until the very end. Thinking of the brief moment she met him earlier, she thought to herself, and more. Because of that exceptionally special expression, she couldn't help but think, a person who always has such cold eyes can still be swayed like this. A smile unconsciously formed on her lips. Suddenly, someone entered and said in a stern voice, "Lady Odell." She frowned and questioned, "The High Priestess is speaking, and you're smiling to yourself like that? You should be paying attention." The High Priestess smiled to mediate between the two. "It's all right, Priestess Rebecca." Agnes must have been smiling because she had a good thought. "Isn't that right?" Odell followed her lead and said politely, "Yes, that's right." Hearing that, she was satisfied and gently instructed, "As for specific volunteer work, I will arrange it tomorrow. For today, everyone should rest first. You must be tired after your long journey here." She took the High Priestess's hand, respectfully placed it on her forehead, and said in a low voice, "Thank you for the High Priestess's grace." She replied, "It's nothing. It is all the will of the great god Enes. I hope the blessings of god Enes will shine upon the entire empire." Rebecca and the High Priestess silently watched her leave. Suddenly, the High Priestess spoke up, praising Odell. She's a quick adapter. It's rare to find a young lady like that these days." Rebecca frowned and said loudly, "High Priestess, please look into my eyes. Are those the right words to say in this sacred, great holy temple?" Hearing that, her voice turned cold. Priestess Rebecca. Being called by her name, she was startled. Unwilling to back down, Rebecca retorted in a low voice, "But the High Priestess knows what kind of family the Sergio family is." She replied softly, "According to the words of God Ines, we must cast aside our prejudices, right?" She said decisively, "It's not a prejudice. Didn't she go to meet the Knight Captain before coming to see the High Priestess?" Fearing the High Priestess wouldn't believe her, Rebecca added, "To this day, the number of young ladies who come to volunteer just because they have some intention towards the Holy Knights is not just one or two, let alone a lady from the Sergio house. What kind of person is her father?" Rebecca imagined Odell's malicious appearance in her mind and said seriously, "No matter how much she pretends to be innocent, no matter how carefully she pretends, she cannot hide those sparkling eyes full of ambition. She definitely has other intentions." She still tried to convince the High Priestess to believe her. "It's impossible that the High Priestess doesn't know what priestesses like me know. How could—" The woman suddenly interrupted. "You mean you're disappointed in me?" Rebecca placed her hand on her chest and said apologetically, "That's not what I meant. Please forgive me." She lowered her voice and feigned remorse. "I was just worried. I wondered if the High Priestess easily accepted her just because she is a lady of the Sergio house." The woman admitted frankly, "That's right. Because it is the house of Sergio, I must accept her even more." Rebecca was surprised. "What?" The high priestess turned around and said with a smile, "Think about it. How happy would the god be if even the most worldly people on earth were brought back into the arms of God Ns? Even a demon can be made into a person. That is our mission." After leaving the waiting room, Odell took a walk in the temple courtyard, exclaiming silently in her heart, "So peaceful." Standing in the shade, listening to the rustling of the leaves, she smiled and thought, "This isn't so bad." Jackie followed her, asking worriedly, "My lady, will everything be all right today? They clearly won't leave us alone, especially that handmaiden who follows the high priestess." Odell immediately reassured her, "Isn't that a good thing?